Up.
What up, guys? Hey, we
Yeah,
just had to jump on a little early here because we're getting beat down and it's an ugly game. It's
it's an
not
ugly
fun to
game.
watch.
Yep.
We're here once again, Bolt Bros. We're here to talk about the post game for the Chargers Cowboys game. I don't know, whatever the score is, 33 to 10 or
32 to
something.
10 right now.
32
Fourth
to
quarter,
10.
2 minutes.
Yep. Looks like Chase Daniel's got some things kind of moving along, though. I mean, there's maybe a chance that they might have one final drive where they get a little score in, which,
Which would be
it'd be
nice, right? To
nice.
see a little bit of something, right?
Some sort of positivity out of this game. I mean, Andy and I were chatting a lot during this call or during this game a bit, and just there's not a whole heck of a lot that we could point at this game being a positive by any means. I mean, the one, I mean, if we want to jump into it, once again, I'm James.
Yeah,
Andy, Bolt Bros.
I'll say this. Let's watch the end of the game. Let's talk through it a little bit. They're
Yeah.
showing Josh Palmer. He's looking okay. Some interesting
Yeah.
things here, but oh my gosh, what an interesting game. I mean, where do we even start at this point, right?
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, Ben.
I
I mean, preseason definitely lowered my expectations for depth in coaching. We were chatting a lot about that, Ben.
Yep.
While we were chatting, and we're thinking when we came into this season, we kept thinking, man, we got so much depth. Oh my gosh,
So much depth.
Like our draft class looks great. I think we have like a good amount of layers of depth, even at the third position. And then we're starting to look at these guys, and we're like, boy, I don't even know if some of these guys just need to be in the NFL or should be in the NFL kind of thing. I mean, that's the thing too. Yeah, Ben too. That's also a great point. Just don't know how to fix the special teams. And we're once again at that same point where we've had that issue for multiple years. And these scrubs right now are the guys that I should not say scrubs. I'm not in the NFL, so I'm really the scrub here. By the way,
I'm a scrub. I'm a -10 scrub at this point, right?
Yeah, but
I mean,
I've never been to the NFL.
Oh my gosh! Like
but it's very frustrating because these are the guys that are going to be out there trying to make those plays for special teams, and we got smoked on that special teams. I mean, we definitely did not look organized. It kind of makes me think a little bit about, our day one practice with the Cowboys and how they were chatting about, like, we went in there with no plan and we're just like, yeah, see what happens. What did Herbert give up? Like get 8 sacks essentially in game or day one with the Cowboys practice. I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch. So,
well, and like let's see the end of the game. Let's see this last drive, and then we'll kind of get into our thoughts. It's one of those things where I just sit back and say to myself, man, we were going back. James and I were talking the whole second half together. Kyle might join us live. He left early from the game, but it's frustrating because I'll say this as a fan. The worst losses are when you don't even show up.
Yep.
You don't even show up. You literally look like I mean, like you don't even know. You completely forgot how to play a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my argument across the board has always been, well, is that coaching or is that the players you have now? Oh, here we go. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close to score here. I would love to see us at least score one more touchdown here and be at the end. I know, James, you're a little bit ahead of me, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit ahead, but
okay. All right. Well,
here we go.
I think a lot of people are going to want to see, how this at least ends up.
There you go. Got a touchdown. And it's guess who the touchdown is, by the way.
Bandy, dude.
Bandy.
Okay, I got to do something on Bandy. Okay, so James, you and I, we've discussed Bandy so many times, and I'm so impressed with this guy. He's a little guy. He's just a little guy. Remember that from Tommy Boy? He's just a little guy. But dude, like it's amazing to me how he's got heart, man. Like that. I'm sorry. Like, don't give up. Don't give up. And we're going to talk more about this later on, and James and I got notes. We've been talking for a long time. All right, let's see what happens here.
You got Xander Horvath, or excuse me, that's Gabe. Wait, 40 is 40 Gabe Neighbors or?
Yeah, it's Gabe Neighbors.
Yeah, he just got the 2-point conversion too.
Man, I kind of breaks my heart, but I don't think that guy's got a spot on the roster at this point.
Well, it's kind of interesting he's playing this late in the game. That's
it's
kind
very
of an interesting thing to see. It sucks because that's Herbert's boy.
It's totally Herbert's boy. Oh, what happened? Oh, did you see what happened? Hold on. Cowboy guy right there. What happened? 41. He hurt himself.
Cowboy?
He was gonna blow up. Yeah, he was gonna blow up Gabe Neighbors, and he just literally pulled up lame on it.
Oh man.
All right, so there's a few folks in here, guys. Put your thoughts in there, your angers, your frustrations. Put it in the thread.
Questions, all that stuff. Throw it out there.
We want an open discussion, guys. We want an open discussion, flat out.
Yep.
And that's partially why we wanted to start this early, because we were super frustrated.
Yeah.
And look, I understand we're playing a lot of our scrubs, but are they that badly coached at this point? Right? Is that what we're looking at this point?
Yep.
And as often as we talk about how I think our coaching staff is great, we're not seeing a lot of good. We're not seeing a lot of positive at all. So
there's a lot of youth in our coaching staff too, and they are kind of learning on the fly. And I mean, Ryan Fickens is a guy that's been in the league for a really long time,
very long time.
And I mean, today, he's probably he's running hot right now.
I guarantee it.
Probably saying like, "Holy smokes, we gave up 2, kick return and a punt return for a touchdown."
Now, Carlo Kemp is looking great, by the way. Carlo Kemp looks good. He looks good.
Carlo Kemp looks pretty good. He gets around the edge pretty well. Davis actually looks pretty good too. He gets around the edge pretty well.
Davis looked good. Gaziano. I want Italian food now because of Gaziano.
There you go. I want some pasta carbonara. Going to the victory formation. So game's over, 32-18, Dallas.
All right, so maybe we just start. Let's just start it up, James. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right, let's just get it going here. So, actually, I should probably message Kyle here real quick. Let's see if he can even show up at this point.
Yeah, he's probably driving right now. So he's probably driving.
Yeah, he probably is. So. All right, guys. So, all right, let's do the intro. And we'll go from there. So I'll hit the little go button, and we'll make it happen, guys.
Let's go.
We'll get into our actual notes, guys. We'll get into our actual notes. I'm sure Kyle. I promise you right now, Kyle's heated. I promise you, he's heated at this point.
I'm sure he is.
And and guys, one of the things I will say about us is we also like to be realistic about our expectations.
Yep.
This right here is a kick in the dick, big time. Kick in the dick. And but at the end of the day, look, it's okay. It's okay to understand that, right? And that's fine. So let's get into it, okay, guys?
Let's go.
Oh, bros.
Oh, bros. Let's go. Woo.
All righty.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
so what was it? Final score 32-18 Cowboys.
32-18. 32-18.
Yeah, so not fun to look at that score by any means.
No, not at all.
But
why don't we get into some notes, James? Guys, like I said, put some thoughts out there. Ben, everybody, throw some thoughts out there. Let us know what you guys think. So anyways, why don't you throw out some of your first half thoughts, and we'll go from there. I know I got a bunch of friends just blowing me up right now, just saying, "Hey, man, what's going on?"
Yeah, what's happening here? Yeah,
I mean, but look, at the end of the day, let's have an open discussion, guys. So let's talk about it. So, all right, give us some of your thoughts, James.
Yeah, and I know we already chatted about the special teams a bit and everything, but man, it's wild to see. Obviously, we got smoked by what's his name, Cavante Turpin. I mean, that guy's speedy, and he's like
that's
5.
A fish.
Yeah, he's like
that's a fish. That's a fish. A Turpin.
Turbin. Wait,
Turpin.
So he's like 5'6", like
Yeah.
buck 50, it looks like, out there running around, just speedy dude. I kind of think of like a Darren Sproles kind of guy and everything like
Yeah.
that. And dude, what frustrated me about this whole thing and seeing this special teams, like we got this guy Ryan Ficken. We're hoping that he's going to be the guy to put things together. We
Yep.
got J.K. Scott. We got one of the best long snappers in the game. You think, hey, we got things that are going to roll for us and do well. Well, guess what? I mean, if we looked at the 2 touchdowns, the kickoff return, for some reason or another, it seemed like the guy had plenty of space to run. Maybe one guy trying to go after him and he missed tackles. And it just felt like it was just like the parting of the Red Sea for this guy. And
Yeah. Like,
just ran through, no problem. Did the same thing on the kick or the punt return too. There was one guy there, missed a tackle, and then it was just the parting of the Red Sea at that point. So that's extremely frustrating to watch that, because we all know as Charger fans, our special teams have always been a mess, and we're seeing that again. And, once again, these aren't probably the starters of special
correct.
teams.
Correct.
So
Yep.
you have to take this as a grain of salt in a sense, but we are still concerned about this. And I think that's a big thing about this game. There's not a whole lot of positives coming out of this game that I could point to, but that's one that's a high negative for us.
Exactly. So. Yep. So I know Ben stopping the run, horrible. Special teams, terrible. Yep. Tackling was awful. All right. So I'm going to say this. And I talked to you about this for quite a while, James, is clearly during our practices, we are not putting people on the ground. We're not trying to actually tackle people. And I understand the conversation around doing that because you don't want to injure our folks.
Yeah.
But the problem is we're not game ready, right? We're not game ready. We're not even showing up, right? And even making an effort, right? Now I understand the concept of, look, we got a lot of players on our team that are undrafted free agents or people we picked up that just want to get some footage, maybe get picked up by another team. But the problem is that we're still putting players in danger. J.K. Scott, our punter, is out there, right? Dude, he's a weapon. And guys, he's one of the best punters in the league. I mean, his hang time is a little over 5 seconds. It's amazing. And I'm sorry, we're not blocked. I mean, we blocked him okay, which is great. But what if he got hurt?
Yeah.
What if even, Stick or Daniel got hurt, our backup quarterbacks? I mean, that's just, it's it's tough to watch. And I the only positive I would say is that, these are people that probably will not be there week 1.
Sure.
But it sucks because even if they're not there week 1, it makes me question coaching, right? And getting people ready.
Yep. Well, and we go back to that, and we've referred it multiple times, that Texans game, and showing how bad our depth was during that time. And that game and preparation seemed to be really, really bad. And Brandon Staley said, hey, that was on me. I didn't have the guys in the right position. I didn't have them. I thought these guys knew what they were doing, but they guess they did not. Those are the things that you think a little bit about. And you think about, hopefully we don't have another COVID type game or anything that comes into this next season or whatnot. But I mean, in this preseason, we're starting to see these young guys out there that are trying to make a statement for themselves to make this team, are not doing a very good job of, getting on this team somewhere or another. Now, it's a tough thing to watch. It's a tough thing to watch. And I have a very hard time kind of looking at this. And I know in the broadcast, they were chatting about, hey, Brandon Staley's just trying to find guys that could play in this system. And man is a big thing within this system. And they're trying to find those guys in the backfield that could do that. And it's going to take a while to figure these guys out. But I mean, at this point, we got cuts again coming up here shortly. And some of these guys we know are probably not going to be on the team this time around. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe they even do put in some of the actual starters in next week, just to kind of show the guys, hey, this is how the job is done. This is how we get it done around here, kind of thing. I get scared about preseason football and putting in starters because, once again, this game really doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. But
Right.
So
Yeah, and it really doesn't, but man, you still gotta wonder though, like how actual game day prepared are we,
yeah,
right? And I understand the concept of look, I mean, I'm gonna do a whole video on this tomorrow, and I even shared this with James and Kyle that we had 8 potential sacks on our ones on Justin Herbert with our preseason game with the Cowboys. That was the first actual
yeah,
scrimmage
first
game,
practice,
correct?
yeah, mhm,
First practice game, 8
yep,
sacks on him on our ones versus ones, right? That
yep,
sucks.
yep,
And don't get me wrong, I get that. Okay, it's a scrimmage, and we had this weird attitude about it. Like, yeah, we weren't really paying attention to it, and we weren't going to do a whole lot. But
yep,
guys, this is an aggressive sport. This ain't no tickling This ain't no tickling contest, right? We're not out there just Gucci gooing people, right?
yeah,
We got to show up, and it's a
yeah,
violent sport. We got to show up and make things happen. And coaching's my concern. I threw that in the chat, and
yep,
I 100% believe that's the issue right now. And I don't know. I get the concept of letting people play, but dude, we
yeah,
need to start seeing some real things happen and some
yep.
improvements. You know?
I mean, in last preseason, and I looked it up just to see what 2021 was for preseason. And once again, I don't
Yeah,
really look too heavily about preseason, but I do want to see the preparation. I do want to see players actually doing their job well. I do want to see that happen. And when you come out of a game like this where you just get the snot beat out of you, you kind of feel like, and you just do error after error and bad tackling, not being in the right position, just didn't feel very good coming out of that game. Um, I'm thinking looking at last season and saying, okay, all right, what did we do in preseason last year? Then we only won 1 out of 3 games last season too. We got beat down pretty bad by the Seahawks. I think it was 24-0 or something like that. I mean, there's
yeah,
there's very little about this too. I mean, how that bases on the full season. I mean, we ended the season 9-8, obviously, like we know, and we ended on a bad note, ending the season 1-3, basically.
for sure.
So I don't know where I'm looking at it as is you hope we're finding the right guys that fit the right position of need for us. And a lot of these guys, once again, NFL stands for not for long. And a lot of these guys don't have a lot of chances in the NFL. And so my hopes is that we really, really push these guys out and we find the right guys that fit well for us and we move on. I mean, once again, we're not playing a lot of our ones, very few of our ones outside of Trey Pipkins and Storm Norton if they're going to be our right tackle.
Yeah,
Zion Johnson is going to be obviously our guy at the right guard too. Joshua Palmer, and shout out to Joshua Palmer. I'll give a positive to him. He did
he
do
did
well.
great.
He had that
He
long
did great. Yep,
46-yard catch, and then he also had that big play screen too to be able to get a touchdown. So he had a couple good plays there too. But the thing is though, they're just trying to find the right guys right now. So I think right now it's just frustrating to see that we actually didn't play a competitive game right now. That's the thing. And there's a
yeah,
lot of errors, a lot of mess ups.
yeah, and like you brought up the line, right? You brought up
Yeah.
right tackle, and again, I don't want to leave too much into where we stand at this point, but during the scrimmage games, Pipkins and Storm actually Pipkins gave up, I think, 2 sacks
Yep.
to Justin Herbert, and
Yep.
then Storm didn't do too great either, right? So it was interesting. Storm started right at
Yep.
right tackle, James.
Yep.
So that should let us know that Storm is probably our number 1 at this point, right? I really do believe that you need to pay attention to who starts the game. In my
Yep.
opinion, those are the starters, at least from the people that are out there on the field,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So, okay. So my thought is, okay, well, what's going to happen, week 1 versus the Raiders? Like, I mean, you guys are all talking about it, right? All right. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Here's my frustration. It's clear that we're playing a lot of, probably non-starters, but
Yep.
guys, does that mean we go out and get Darrell Williams? We had talked about this on our pregame. We talked about this quite a bit. Do we go out and get Darrell Williams, right? He's awesome right tackle from the Bills. I promise you, he is going to ask for big money, right?
Yeah.
And do we pay him? I mean, I think the last stat I saw is he wants like $5 or $6 million a year.
Yeah,
I mean, is it worth it? Right. But look, it's Justin Herbert. He's our biggest crown jewel. Guys, what do you guys think? Should we go out and get a Darrell Williams, a right tackle? Because, I keep looking at our line and go, wow, a lot of gaps, a lot of holes. Now, we could talk about this all day, but, it's interesting to see.
Yep. I mean, it's interesting. And last game too, Trey Pipkins started that game for week 1 of preseason. This one, it was basically Storm Norton. The thing is though, I'm looking at like Storm Norton started the first and second drive. Kind of didn't really see a whole heck of a lot
first
there.
And second, right? Yep. Mm-hmm.
He had a penalty basically in 3rd and 5. Kind of gave up on the play too. There was and that was not a penalty he had. It was a penalty that we got where we got a free play. And Storm Norton just seemed kind of a little like, like we got whatever, which, Easton Stick could have bombed the ball out and try to see if he could get a little bit more yards, but he had to kind of rush the pass because Norton's kind of gave up on the play. And so those are kind of the effort kind of plays that I did not see from him as a negative. As for Pipkins, he seemed to do okay on the Palmer TD. He seemed like he was the lead blocker, but kind of got in the way a little bit from Palmer. So they kind of like collided with each other in a weird way. And then he like muscled his way into the end zone.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything like great to see, but I mean, heck, it all worked out in the end, I guess, to get a touchdown. And then Storm Norton did come back in too, got beat bad on a penalty too. There was a little bit of hand grabbing and kind of just trying to put your arms out or whatnot to try to get the guy. And, it's an interesting thing to see where this is all going to, because I mean, if it's going to be one of these guys, you could always have a tight end on the right side of him to kind of help him with protection.
Yeah, a little chip block. Sure.
We could chip a block real quick or have Xander, chip block on the right side or whatnot. But there's like ways that we could work around this to help them out. Now, we can't expect them to always have help. They still have to do it themselves at some point too, because that's one less guy that we need, one less guy that we could have on the field, or I should say we could put another guy on the field to be able to be another target for Herbert. So either way, I don't feel like there was really much of a divide or change or who's really going to be the right tackle so far. So it's still a work in progress right now. So
well, and you're right, and it kind of is. And so, I mean, I understand the concept. Again, we've discussed this of letting players play, right? Some of these players are not going to make our team. We get that. We know that. The coaches already know that. They've already made the decision. They're out there. Let me quote my nephew, Aiden. They're getting the wiggles out, right? They're out there. They're getting the wiggles out. They're out there doing their thing.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, man, like I just get nervous, right? These are our depth players as well too. And I understand the concept of playing safe and being nice, but holy smokes, man. That was bad.
Tough.
That was bad. And I mean, the Cowboy, don't get me wrong. You guys remember one of the older videos we did a long time ago, man, like literally probably like week 3 into our podcast.
Yeah.
I broke down all of the teams from last season, and Cowboys were doing really well, right? They were, overall special teams, defense and offense, they were very highly ranked. They were probably 5th or 6th in the league.
Yep.
So they have depth, they have players, they have people, but man, they're not that good, right? The Rams won the Super Bowl, and we look better against the Rams, right? Way better against the Rams. But I'm talking like exponentially better.
Yep.
So, it's interesting to think about. Well, how many special teams yards did we give up the first half? What was it, like almost 200 yards, right?
Yeah, it was 184 yards basically. You got 2 touchdowns on us. I mean, that's ugly to look at. I mean,
wow.
The thing about this game, and we'll switch over from special teams to just focus on the quarterbacks too.
Yeah, sure. Right.
I mean, I was excited to be able to see Easton Stick start the game and see kind of what he could do and see where he could go. What did he end up doing? Well, nothing very positive in my opinion. basically he had 134 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and a fumble. The fumble was put in a position where the Cowboys only had to get, 20 something yards or whatnot to be able to get a touchdown. So it was on our side of the field, and it really wasn't anything great. Now, both Easton Stick and both Chase Daniels didn't really have like the best of days by any means. And I felt like the O-line was kind of struggling all around. I believe it's tough to watch this. And I mean, there's no real change even to say who's going to be the second or third quarterback for us. It does show, once again, if things get down to that point to where we need to have a quarterback for a couple series or whatnot, it's going to get brutal. It's going to get brutal for us.
It's going to be brutal.
So I don't know. I did see Zion out there too. He seemed to do okay out there. He seemed to not be that bad, but he was out there with Easton Stick, and that's good to see. But once again, that quarterback class really didn't get anywhere at all for us, and it just seemed kind of stagnant. But once again, the thing is that we are getting a little riled up on guys that are not probably going to make this team or be practice squad guys, kind of thing.
Correct.
So
correct.
There is a little bit of a point to where we're quite overreacting already on a Saturday night, but at the same side, it's not it's frustrating with the expectations that we have for this team. That's the biggest part of this. I mean, people chimed in here saying like, "Man, we got to do something now about this. We need to see some change right now. This O-line needs a change. We need to fire Telesco." Like, I get it. But
100%. Yep.
Remember, this is preseason. They're trying to figure out who's who and who's what, who's the players and who's not the players, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's what they're trying to figure out right now.
Well, and not only that, it's very clear they are letting all of their undrafted free agents, everyone that is even on the team with a uniform. All right, go out there and make it happen. Yeah. My concern, though, again, and I said this at the very beginning, I know a lot of people, we got a lot more people in now when I said this earlier, so that J.K. Scott's our punter, right? Yep. You got people out there protecting him to kick the ball that, man, couldn't block their grandma at this point, from what I can tell, right? Yeah. I mean, their 90-year-old grandma, she could just bust in, right? And look, I understand not putting people out there that don't, or hey, let's give them a chance to play. Yeah. But you also got to protect people that you care about and are going to be part of your team moving forward, right? So that's a little bit scary, to me, right? So
it is.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, Carlos, I agree. It's preseason, unacceptable. Look, I said this earlier. You guys may have missed this, but for me, my biggest frustrations of any loss is when a team, when your team does not show up. Yep. Like, it's like they didn't get off the bus and even play. Like, dude, make it competitive. The Raiders-Charger game last season was so hard for me, but I still walked away saying, you know what? They tried. They did everything they could do. It went down to the wire, and we just came up short. And as frustrating as it is to say that, because, I hate the Raiders. I mean, I despise the Raiders, right? 100%.
We all do.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, all right, well, they at least showed up, right? Yep. This is a game where we didn't even show up. We didn't show up.
Yep.
Let's go Wildcat. Let's go Wildcat, Ben.
Yeah, let's roll. Let's make it happen.
Hey, look, I'll tell you right now. I mean, look, why not? Right? Yep. We could do it. So,
well, you got Pat White as one of the guys on the offensive side too, and he would be one of those guys to kind of fill in a Wildcat position. And Carlos was talking a little bit about he was scared when he saw Spiller go down because Spiller was only in for maybe 2 drives.
Yeah, it was.
Seeing him hobbling off the field. So that's a little bit of an alarming thing to see.
Yeah, let's see if we have any information on that. I was actually going to take a look at that. So, no, it's a good point. Yeah, I mean, freaking frustrated me. I mean, man, I just you got to wonder why was it this bad? Right. Yeah. And I understand we're letting people play, but man, you got to do your job a little bit. Right. So,
I don't know. Well, it's interesting because like Telesco's in his, I believe, 10th year now as a GM for the Chargers.
Yeah. A little over. Yeah. 10 years. Yeah.
And he's kind of barely just figuring out the right guys to draft for like O-line. And I mean, that's still to be determined too, because I feel like there was always that struggle of trying to find some guy in the O-line, and we put a lot of draft picks in there and they don't work out or whatnot. And so there's a lot of learning still for them. And I think every coach and every GM, everybody is still learning on the fly. And I mean, I think it's kind of prevalent sometimes with this team. And it seems like Telesco doesn't do a very good job sometimes at the draft, but at the same side, you can't hit home runs with every single pick, by the way. It's a tough situation, but it is tough to watch. I mean, year after year, just having terrible special teams. And once again, this is preseason. Remember, it is preseason. I mean, there is a little bit of an overreaction here too. So guys, don't get too hung up on it still. So last year we didn't do too bad in special teams. We weren't great. We weren't fantastic by any means, but there was a little bit of stability once we started getting in a better kick returner and then a better field goal kicker. So there was slight stability there.
And it's very clear that Brandon Staley doesn't want to play anybody that's a starter early, get hurt. Okay, well, here's what sucks. I'm just looking at this right now. Spiller did suffer an ankle injury.
Yeah.
And very unclear about how long it's going to take, or he's going to be questionable for run. So, I will say this. Guys, if you watch my running back video, I think Joshua Kelly is our number 2 at this point, right? What does that mean? Probably Spiller will be sidelined for probably the rest of the postseason, or preseason, I should say.
Preseason.
Not postseason. Preseason.
We're almost there. Yeah, we're almost.
Yeah, we're gonna make a postseason. We're gonna make a postseason. Yeah. But look, that sucks, guys. I promise you, this is exactly what our coaching staff didn't want to see happen.
Yep.
That sucks, and it's one of those things where they can sit back all day and say, well, okay, that's why we don't play our starters, because they could get hurt. Look, Zach Wilson, 3rd or 4th drive, blows his knee, and he's out 2 to 4 weeks, right? He's the starter for the Jets, and it's unfortunate, right? So, great. Well, we're going to see some Josh Kelly and Roundtree moving forward, and who knows what's going to happen with Spiller, right? Spiller, I think, is fantastic, but interesting. So, Canto, you guys think you should keep both Stick and Daniel? Choose one, man. I would. Oh God. I mean, I guess maybe Daniel. I don't know, but no, I would probably say Stick. I think Stick's got better upside. I think Daniel's already. Daniel is already that guy that has been in the league a long time, but just didn't make it happen. So I would say Stick is the guy, but. Man, but the thing that's nice about Daniel is Daniel's really like an on-field coach at this point, right? So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, but that sucks, because I really do believe that Stick is probably the only guy. I mean, Stick lost 3 games in college, 3 games total, 3 games. Yeah. He's a baller, and he could do it. And but he just got to he needs to show it. But again, to his detriment, he has not had any real work that we've seen with the 1s or 2s. He's pretty much been with all the scrubs at this point. So, it would be a different game once we have the 1s or 2s out there. What do you think there, James?
Yeah, and I've kind of had that thought of, if they decide to go with 1 quarterback, I'd go Easton Stick, in my opinion. Now,
me too.
With Chase Daniels, if you'd say, hey, you obviously can't put him on the practice squad, but you would say, hey, we'll let you go, but guess what we want to do? We want to make sure keep you on the coaching staff. How about you be assistant quarterback coach? Because, I mean, if he's really just going to be that guy on the sideline just helping out Herbert and pay him, I don't know how many, $2 million. I mean, you could just throw that $2 million, throw it into salary for him to be a coach for this season kind of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll be fine with that. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing that you have to think about, because, I mean, that other position and having 2 quarterbacks versus having a 3rd quarterback, I mean, once again, you can put Easton Stick back to the practice squad too and keep Chase Daniels just in case. But I don't know. That one position could be a difference between another player that can be an impact player for this team. So it is a possibility to be able to kind of do that. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's when we get to the 53-man roster and see kind of what they decide to do. We will see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. So all right, so let's talk about any positives. I mean, I would say this at this point. Palmer looked good.
Yep.
But he was out there for what, 1 or 2 series, maybe, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
He wasn't in there too long, but he made a couple impact plays. Obviously, that screen was great. It was awesome to see that. That long 46-yard throw from Easton Stick was pretty good. Michael Davis had a breakup too on a 3rd and 9 play, which was pretty good to see.
Yep. Nice.
Great to see that. Chris Rump did a tackle for a loss on a run play, loss of 3 yards. So that was good to see.
Yep.
Joshua Kelly seemed like he had some pretty good things kind of moving around.
All right. He looked all right
he
too.
Didn't look bad. Yep. Morgan Fox had a stop at 3rd and 1.
Megan Fox. Oh, she's so sexy. Good Lord.
Wrong Fox.
Oh,
Michael J. Fox is what do we got? How many Foxes we got out there? Yeah, I mean, there really wasn't a whole heck of a lot that you could really point to that felt good about. Like, I mean, there was very few things. Maybe it was really, really hard for us to see a lot of the positivities and not to look negatively at this game, but it was just an ugly game all around for us. So, I mean, if I'm going to choose an MVP, I'll go with Joshua Palmer and we'll call it at that point.
Well, I mean, and then I would say Michael Bandy looked pretty good. Bandy looked pretty good. Bandy looked pretty good. Yeah. Guys, we're giving you a positive sandwich, right? Okay, so that's what it's called. It's called a positive sandwich, right? You give some negative, then you give some positive in the middle. Okay, we're eating positive right now, and then we give some more negative. Okay, that's a positive sandwich, right? That's any conflict conversation. It's always a positive sandwich.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, like, there wasn't a lot of good that we could say. In fact, I promise you, Brandon Staley's probably going to say the exact same thing. He's probably going to sound exactly as negative as he was during the Texans game last season.
That was so bad.
He literally looked at the camera and said, "We did nothing correct on defense," right? And that's exactly what he's going to say. I mean, I don't even have to watch it at this point. In fact, we probably should turn it on just to see what he says. But I mean, bottom line, guys, look, at the end of the day, it sucks. I understand the concept of letting these players play, but nothing worked out, right?
Yep.
What did my brother here say? Oh, here we go. This is perfect. Here's from Kyle, the other boat, bro. What is she doing, bros?
Yeah, it was bad.
I mean, it was, right? But I mean, look, running back room is hot garbage. Yeah. Well, look, at the end of the day, guys, you can't run the ball with a line that can't poke a hole for you in the defense, right? So, it's interesting, right? I mean, okay, so let me take a step back for just a second and say why I love football so much. It's the ultimate team sport, right? In order to make that play work, everyone on that team, everyone on that offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball has to do their job.
Yep.
When they don't do it, guess what? It doesn't work.
Yep.
And that's the point, right? We literally saw the people out there not executing their jobs.
Yeah.
Now, the argument is, well, that's what our coaching staff wants to figure out. Who out there can do their job?
Yep.
I understand the concept of, all right, well, I mean, I hate to say it, but this is kind of like back in the medieval days when you send out like your lowest ranking warriors into battle. Go out there. Do what you can do. You're amazing. Go for it. Yep. That's kind of what we saw today, guys. We saw the scrubs just get destroyed, right? So, look, again, when we say positives, negatives, look, at the end of the day, we know these are not starters. They're not going to be our guys out there day one against the Raiders, but it's still disappointing to see how bad they look across the board. So, anyways, so.
One thing I'll even bring up as a stat for something that's a positive, and it's kind of a little bit of like digging deep to try to find some positivity here. H.H. Ford talked a little bit about, can't stop the run. And to be honest, we didn't do as bad on stopping the run.
They're all right.
We actually only gave up 115 yards, which that still isn't
we
that
gave
bad.
Up 103 last time, right?
Yep, exactly. So we're kind of keeping in that zone. They had 33 attempts and a 3.4 yard per attempt on runs. Now that doesn't sound great, but as most running backs, they want to be able to have a 4 or 5 average per run. So they're below average basically for a premier back. So if there is going to be a positive against the run, hey, there was a little bit of a good, point to where we did only gave up 115 yards. I would love to be able to get in the lower hundreds or, the higher 90s. But hey, once again, we're playing with our 2s, 3s, and 4s right now. But maybe the system is working and maybe we think it's working a little bit better. I mean, than we think. I think once we basically bring in, our ones, we would think it would be a lot better there. So that's just kind of where I'm sitting at right now. What I'm seeing so far from the stats, if I'm breaking something down as a positive, that's a good positive. What basically killed this game, special teams, fumble, basically gave up 22 points by itself. So
100%. This Turpin guy dry humped us. We'll move on.
Yep.
He dry humped us hard all day.
Change the video tag to Cowboys dry hump us. Yeah.
This Turpin, by the way, that's a fish, that guy. Right? Turpin. Yeah, a Turpin.
Turpin, yeah. Put it on the screen. Put a picture of it on the screen.
This, dude. A fish killed us, dude. Put a fish up there. This guy killed us, dude. God damn it. Oh, man. Hey, look, neither quarterback can play. By the way, I'll tell you right now, I was frustrated with both of them. Now, again, so let's by the way, I'm just going to go through all your comments, and we're just going to discuss each of them as we go through. So neither backup quarterback can play. I agree with that. Look, I'll tell you, I want to see Stick step up. Again, there's arguments both ways, right? Horrible line. You got to have some time to set your feet and throw the ball and make an accurate pass. But boy, we need a right tackle. Yeah, I really, I think I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow. During these scrimmages we had against the Cowboys, we looked pretty bad on the right tackle side. Yep. I think Pipkins gave up 2 actual sacks.
Yep.
And a few others. I mean, so who knows? Darrell Williams might be on the table. You never know how that's going to play out. He's still out there right now. We talked about that earlier in the pregame. So, can't run the football. We did okay stopping the run, a little bit better, but boy, still nothing great. Nothing great. Here's our board, bro. Here we go. What's up, Kyle? What you got to say? So much stuff in the week are on the special tips. Special tips.
Special tips, baby.
Yep. Special tips.
Watch out. Yeah.
He's probably driving right now, too.
Yeah, he's driving. Look. Well, he said later on that he almost rear-ended somebody. So I was like, hey, man, you probably should get off there and start.
Yeah, maybe get off the
10-2, baby. 10-2, baby. 10-2.
10-2.
Come on.
No, look. Bandy looked good, right? It's very so. Okay, so let's talk about positive. Let's see what I want to see for the next preseason game. How about we switch it to that, a little bit more positive? We can go through some of this other stuff as well too. What I want to see is some of our 2s and 3s start really playing, right? Who's actually going to make our 53 roster and get them out there for a bit, right? Because we've already gave away some other people. Forrest Merrill's gone, a few other folks, right? We got to cut down another 5 more players this next week. It will be interesting to see. By the way, that cut will be interesting. That next week cut will be very interesting to me because we only have to give up 5, right? We only have to give up 5 at this point.
Yep.
Legally, I should say, we only have to give up 5. But what if they do 10 or 15?
Yeah.
It just goes to show you, hey, man, you didn't make the cut. We're not even going to even delay
give you another shot
cutting you, for the next stage, right? And that could happen, right? Because I think there's a lot of players that really just did not do well. I mean, we did terrible in so many ways. Anyhow.
Yep. That's agreed. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. I mean, I think they already have a pretty good idea of who they're letting go and everything.
Yeah.
One positive thing that I could even put out there is that and it's not a major positives, but you could say Dean Leonard didn't get picked on as much. He had a couple plays, one where the ball kind of went way off, but he did not turn his head still to kind of get involved with the pass. He's still scared about the receiver in front of him. But there wasn't a huge focus on him this time around. Now, it was Was it Sebastian? I think is the other defensive back.
Sebastian, yep. He was out there a
He was
ton.
getting picked on in this game.
Big
Brandon
time.
Sebastian.
Yep.
And so he was the choice to be able to get picked on this game. And so he became basically the Dean Leonard of this game. JT Woods, he got a special teams tackle that looked pretty solid. He did do some tackling playing on defense. So there was some positivity to there too for that. And those are the expectations I want to see from these guys that are the guys that are draft picks, just to get a little bit better each game. I mean, a lot of athletes always talk about being 1% better each day. And so hopefully they're just getting 1% better each day. Now, 1% doesn't seem like a huge amount, but it adds up day after day after day after day. So,
and again, we got one more preseason game. I really do believe that we're actually going to start playing some players that matter this next preseason game. We may even see Herbert. I kind of doubt that we will. Because look, if there's one positive we can say is Justin Herbert is a perfectionist, guys. You know, he stays after every game or every practice throwing balls. Hey, I did this throw wasn't great. I'm going to do more throws. That's awesome, right? Phil Rivers didn't do that. Herbert is a perfectionist. He's going to go out and make it happen, right? So, I think this next game will specifically be, all right, let's put some players out there that actually could make the team and probably could impact the team and really make some final decisions and go from there. So, but, you know, it's sad, right? I mean, you want your team to show up, make an effort, right? Make an effort. And it just looks so bad, you know? So,
well, it seemed almost like they went in with no game plan, too, in some points.
Very true.
It's like, just kind of like what they talked about with the Cowboys in the first practice they had with them. They're like, yeah, we just kind of went out there and just see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hey.
You know, I don't know as a coach you should ever do that, in my opinion. Like, look at a little film, and you're going to be playing that team this week too. Unless the plan is, let's not go in with the plan and just see how we do without a plan, kind of thing. Because that's essentially what it kind of seemed like. It just seemed like a mess all around. It didn't seem very, very cohesive as a team, and it was just tough to watch. But there's very little things in there that could be positives to this game. But once again, I'm looking at the small changes as a player. Like, what are the guys that are actually stepping up? Maybe the guys that are just getting a tad bit better. Dean Leonard seemed to kind of wasn't picked on as much as Sebastian. JT Woods got a special teams tackle. He seemed like he was kind of a little bit more active in the defense. So, I mean, there is a little, and actually he was even playing the Derwin James position too. He was playing in the box too. So he's getting involved a little bit more. I really hope to be able to see Mark Webb out there. And that's one thing that I really want to see him out there, but he seems to be injured still. So that's kind of a tough thing. Interesting to see if maybe Kenneth Murray, who is supposedly going to be back here soon, if he would be ready for next week's game too.
Next week. Yeah, you got to wonder if they'll play him at this point, right? You know, guys, okay, what do you guys think? Should they play him next week, right? Because there's arguments both ways. All right, is this guy game ready? Does he trust his ankle? Does he trust that he can actually do what he needs to do, right? I mean, it's interesting to see. You know, I'm interested to see the post-game story here. And Kyle, do not get into an accident.
10-2, baby.
I know. Yeah. I get kind of stressed out, right? But, you know, look, remember, guys, just for a second, these games don't matter, right? They're trying to figure out who's going to stack up on our 53-man roster. We haven't even seen anybody that even matters out there at this point, right? I even made a comment to you, James, that Tillery was sitting on, like, he had a hoodie on at the end of the game right there. I'm like, wow, like he's some sort of amazing player, right? I still wonder if he's even going to be around on our team, right? I promise you they would trade him away for a 7th-round pick tomorrow if they can get that for sure, right? Because I just feel like there's nothing that he does well at all. So, and this is great. I like this. Country club attitude. That's a good way of saying it, man. I mean, that's a perfect way of saying it. It's just, we're just out there just putting along and, hey, okay, well, the sun's out. It's nice. I'm having a beer and doing my thing, but, you know, whatever, right? You know, so there's a lot that needs to be fixed, guys. There's a lot. But,
you know, the attitude is nothing's given to you for free in the NFL at all. For sure. It shouldn't be that way. We're not entitled to be able to get wins every single week. I mean, we still have to put in the work each week. And I think that the country club attitude is like, hey, everything's all fine and dandy. We're good to go. We're just going to get this win. We're going to, get this interception. We're going to get this fumble, and we're going to score a touchdown. Like, I think that's totally what it could be. But at the same side, like one concern, and we've already chatted about it quite a bit already, but my concern is kind of last year, where we just felt like the way we ended the season, we didn't end the season very prepared for the last 4 games.
Yep.
And my whole thing is like, I want to see preparation, and I want our coaching staff to be really on it every week. I mean, we're here to win. We're here not to screw around. We're here with a game plan that we're going to execute and do it well. And so far in the preseason, it seems almost like we're just going to figure things out and kind of see where it goes, kind of thing. It's not, this game doesn't mean anything. Let's get serious when we need to get serious, but sometimes you do need to get serious a little bit in preseason, 100%. Come in with a game plan and execute that game plan. So either way, I mean, it's a tough one to look at, but I mean, there is little positives out there. Michael Bandy did good.
Yeah, Michael Bandy, Palmer looked all right. Backup quarterbacks looked horrible. Okay, so let's move on to again, last season though, right? Let's talk about last season for a second. We all know that the NFL, you script out your first plays.
Yep.
We were horrible in the first quarter.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Not good.
We were not good. And that's a Joe Lombardi problem, right? That is a Joe Lombardi problem. You're scripting out your first 10 plays, maybe 15 plays. Clearly, we did not do well with that, right? And we didn't adjust well. Second quarter, we did better. Third quarter, we were amazing. Fourth quarter, we were all right. But the problem is we have got to start, executing at a higher level across the ball or a board. I mean, defense and offensively right now, again, we've seen none of our actual defensive players out there. Everyone that we picked up in free agency, for the most part, we have not seen. We saw a little bit of Morgan Fox. We saw some Troy Reader. But really, is Morgan Fox going to be our starter? Who knows? Tillery might still be the guy. Who knows? But I would rather Morgan Fox than Tillery. I think Tillery's just a rag doll. I mean, that guy's just, geez, suit me up. I swear to God, I'd probably do better than Tillery. Well, probably not. But, I mean, who knows, right? But my point is like, holy smokes, man. It's interesting to think. All right, let's see what Kyle's got to say here. I will say this thing: the most about the Chargers, the starters were all there, coaching staff, every position, the whole game. Yep. Talk to them every after the play. Yeah, agreed.
They're there to help. I mean, Derwin James is with his hold in basically. He's not holding out. He was doing that all the time. He was engaged 100%. With all the players. He was having a good time with them. He was telling them what to do and little tips that they could do to get better as players. So it's great to see that. And that's the thing about having so many veterans on this team and so many players that have been in this team and in this system, that these guys are all engaged regardless of whatever the score is. Because guess what? These are the guys that are going to come in that potentially could fill in a position at some point in need.
Correct.
And actually make a play. And so you think about the times right now where they're getting coached by these veterans, it could be priceless for them at some point. That could be a critical play. Could be an interception to win the Super Bowl for us this year. That maybe the tip that they got from so-and-so, JC Jackson or whatnot, it led to that point. So that's good to see. It's great to see that. And that's the beautiful thing about having great, veterans on the team.
Yeah. And, it just feels like preparation was an issue.
Yep.
But you cannot compare talent on talent, right? At the end of the day, there's a difference between a starter and a backup, right?
100%.
We all know that. And again, guys, I was going to do a whole video about Dean Leonard last week and kind of break down his college footage compared to his pro footage from what we saw versus the Rams. And it was very clear that, look, the NFL game is very different than college, right? You can get away with just having talent, but the NFL, no, you have to make sure you do things differently and you prepare differently and handle passes and coverage very differently. So that's a big issue there, right? So, and one of my big things, again, special teams is definitely big in an issue. Yeah, I would have expected some better things from special teams. I was a little frustrated there. And then Lombardi, again, Lombardi is my concern, right? I love Lombardi. I think he's good, but I think he got very conservative last year. Okay, so maybe we should wrap this up this way too. And again, understand something, guys, across the board. We're playing very vanilla defense and extremely vanilla offense. Okay. There's no trickery. There's no motion in offense. There's, very little. They're doing a lot of man coverage because they want to see who can man up players, right? Yep. So that exposes that corner when, you're not playing zone. You don't have coverage over top, right? So they're really putting people on an island to see, hey, can this guy do it? Right? Can this guy actually cover this guy, period, right?
Yeah.
And going back to Dean Leonard against the Rams, he did a very good job for the most part, but he was just a few steps behind to actually make the play happen or really go that forward. So, again, and we didn't see a lot of Dean Leonard this game. We saw a little bit of him for the most part, but again, I think, guys, I'm actually really curious to see what happens on Monday or Tuesday when these cuts start really happening. It could get ugly. It could be a bloodbath. We could see a lot of our players gone come Monday. And then we'll have our 53-man roster, or we have a pretty good shot at our 53-man roster. I could really see a lot of people go. So
it would be interesting. It would be interesting. And that's a thing, and for me, I'm just going to try to lead it as some sort of positive out of the game. If there is a 1%, 2%, 3% better from some of these players, that's what it's all about in preseason. Try to find these guys that are just trying to get better. Like, I felt like JT Woods was a little bit more comfortable out there.
Yeah.
I feel like that was looking good. Morgan Fox, I felt like he did a pretty good job out there. And continuously, the second game in a row that Chris Rump did pretty well too for himself. So
he looked good too. He looked good.
And offensively, Michael Bandy, Joshua Palmer looked good. And Joshua Kelly looked a little.
J.K. Scott looked good too. Our punter looked good.
Yeah, J.K. Scott. That's the thing. And you bringing that back, like, our punts were solid. That hang time was solid.
That hang time was solid.
By the time that ball lands at the receiver, there should be a guy standing there staring at him right now, ready to hit him, or he should have been like fair catch by that time. But it's, once again, those are mistakes that should be corrected, and we hope that it's not going to be an issue once again.
Yeah, and I go back to Dean Leonard. What was that? Was that second quarter of the Rams game when he hit that guy? Yeah, and there was a 15-yard penalty. We gave up 120 yards in penalties the first game. Actually, how many penalty yards did we give up this game? By the way, do we know? See. It wasn't a ton because.
Let's see here. We got the stats up here.
But again, guys, J.K. Scott is amazing, right? As James is looking this up, we keep saying bolt up, don't punt, but I tell you, J.K. Scott is an absolute weapon for us, right? I think, again, we were next to dead last season in special teams.
Yep.
J.K. Scott will definitely help us out. I think Hopkins is fine. He's good, not great, but he's fine. He's towing the line. He'll be okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
We only had 3 penalties for 20 yards, and they had 8 penalties for 57.
That's great. That's great, though, guys. Like, look, we gave up 120 yards against the Rams.
Yeah,
that's what killed us.
Yeah.
And then what killed us this time was special teams, right?
Yep.
That was pretty much it. So if you get rid of the penalties from week one, it's a different game. You get rid of the special teams just giving up everything.
Yep.
It's another thing, right? So, and again, positive sandwich, boys and girls, okay? Mostly boys. I've seen the statistics. It's all guys talking to us for the most part. But my point is, look, it's a fixable problem, right? We don't have our starters out there. We don't have Michael Davis being our gunner. We don't have Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa out there or anybody that's really going to be really taking snaps for us week one. We're trying to figure out depth at this point. Depth. That's all we care about. So.
Yep, exactly. Yep. We could sit here and talk about it, but next game, I think we just move on from this point. Let's get to the next game. Better practice. And, once again, this is a little bit of overreaction too. This is preseason. This wasn't week 1. This wasn't week 2. This wasn't week 17. This is just preseason right now. So we just hope that it's going to get better from here. And once we start getting in, our starters, our true starters, we could really start at that point. If we start seeing that the roof is on fire, we could start, screaming about that. But I think I think we got a little bit of positivity, but there's a lot of things that we just cannot see as a positive situation out of this game. But
Yeah. Well, and we
it's
play the
tough.
Saints next, right? So we'll
Yep.
probably be doing, we do those. That'll be interesting, right? We run the Saints offense, so we'll see how that plays out. And
Yep.
they'll kind of know what we're throwing at them, and we'll go from there. But
Yep.
it's exciting, guys. I mean, look, at the end of the day, bad game. We didn't look good. It's depressing. Everyone just understand it's one game. It's
Yep.
preseason. It does not matter. It is move on. We're on to the next. I'm very curious, guys. I'm so curious to see how many cuts we have this next week. It could be, again, 5 is all we have to have right now. We have 85 players. We only need to give up 5. If we give up more than 5, that's very clear. Those guys did not make the cut, right? We don't see it anymore. They're done. Bye. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. So that comes out probably Monday. So we'll do a video on it for sure. I'm going to do a video probably tomorrow on what we saw on the scrimmages specifically against the Cowboys, because it was something I wanted to break down a little bit earlier, but I just kind of wanted to show this, and we just kind of wanted to do this. So at any rate, guys,
For sure.
as always, hey guys, okay, we'll wrap this up. Also, check us out on all of our social medias, right? We're on Instagram. We're on all that stuff. James is doing a lot of stuff. James and Kyle are doing a lot of stuff on Instagram on fantasy football. I don't know if you guys know this, but we are doing a fantasy football team against most of the Charger podcasters. In fact, all of them, all the ones that are big at all. It's that we are doing a fantasy football league against them. So we have a team in the skin of the game. So I'm kind of excited to see how that plays out. So fantasy football is big for us, guys, and we like looking at teams, and we love the competitiveness on our own. So follow us on Instagram, follow us on all the other social medias, right? It matters because, bottom line, we put content different ways in different type of venues and channels, right? Because, YouTube likes this long content, right? Instagram likes shorter content. So we're going to provide you a lot more information on Twitter and kind of gather that information for you guys in short form formats. So
for sure.
Anyways, any last thoughts there, James?
Nope. Just let's get on to the next game. Let's make this week better. And I'm just looking forward to the next week and see where it goes from there. And once again, there is a little bit of a panic from the fan base, but once again, this is the guys just trying to make a statement for themselves to keep their job for another week. So
correct.
Once we get the ones out there, that's when the real money's made. And so once we get to week 1, we hope that we're all ramped up and ready to go. So, and there's a lot of positives even coming from that Cowboys practice for our defense too. So, and offensively, it seemed like it did pretty well for us too. So don't worry too much. Don't panic too much, because we're going to be fine, guys. But let's get just to the next week and let's move on from this.
Agreed. Guys, we'll get there. And I think it's very clear. One last thought that I had. I promise you that our coaching staff, and Brandon Staley said this, I think 2 weeks even before our first preseason game. Look, we're going to play people that need to play. And what he really meant by that was, who do we need to evaluate further, right? Who is really the guys that we want to keep for our 53-man roster? And it's great point there, Jeff. This is exactly what needs to happen. We have to figure out who actually can play and who can't play. Who's got the guts? Who's going to make it happen? And who's even going to do anything when we're down like we were, right? Who's actually going to continue trying? Man, it makes me worry. Like, boy, what does Brandon Staley think about Chase Daniel at this point, right? So, at any rate, I'm very curious to see what happens next week after this game. Like, what's the aftermath going to look like? It could be some pretty gnarly cuts, guys, next week. Again, I've already said this. 5 people is the max, or 5 people is what we're expected, but it could even be more. And totally I think possible. Week 3 versus the Saints, we'll probably see some real players out there, guys. So, again, don't be too discouraged. It's preseason. They're getting the wiggles out. And, hey, we'll see you in the next one, guys.
Let's do it.
Let's get it, guys. All right. We'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.